Hey there, Razorback fans. I'm Sydney Lemmerhurt, thrilled to present you with an exclusive glimpse behind the scenes featuring two remarkable athletes from the Razorbacks volleyball and softball team. Prepare to meet Skylar Ellison and Bri Ellis, both of whom consistently deliver top-notch performances. But before we dive into their stories, let's take a moment to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Everett Auto Group. They're the driving force behind Buick's See Her Greatness campaign, celebrating the achievements and empowerment of female athletes. With locations in Benton, Bryant, and Rogers, the Everett Auto Group is all about supporting women in sports, and we are so thankful to have them on board. Now, let's get down to business. I'll be your host for today's discussions, bringing you insights from Skylar and Bri. Having been a former Razorback gymnast myself, I understand the grit and determination required to compete at the collegiate level. I'm eager to hear what these two phenomenal athletes have to impart. It's time to hear their stories and discover what makes them true champions. So without further ado, hi guys, welcome.
Hi.
So excited to meet you today. Could you both start off by telling me a little bit about yourself, your name, where you're from, and how you got into your sport?
Yeah, I'm Skylar. I play volleyball. I'm a sophomore, and I'm from Aledo, Texas. And I've been basically playing volleyball for my whole life. I mean, I grew up playing like basketball and volleyball, but volleyball stuck. And here I am.
Yep. What about you?
I'm Bri Ellis. I'm a junior transfer from Auburn University. I transferred this past year, so this is my first season with the Razorbacks. And same thing, I've basically been playing my whole life. And I just stuck with softball because I was good at it.
Yeah, fair enough. That's the typical story. So for both of you, and especially you because you're a transfer, why did you pick Arkansas?
I picked Arkansas because I wanted to stay in the SEC. I love the conference, and it's just top tier in all aspects. And the coaching staff is second to none. I mean, I love Coach Steifel and everybody else on staff, and I just really love the atmosphere of Fayetteville. And I played here a few times while on the opposite team, and I just really could see myself like living here and living out my dreams here.
Yeah, and our fan base is different. Yeah, they love both of your teams, but they are crazy about the softball team, so it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much same.
Yeah.
I mean, SEC school is obviously awesome. Our coaching staff is great. I mean, when I came here on my visit, I was like, this just feels right. And I mean, Fayetteville is an awesome place to be. It's not far from home.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just felt right when I was on my visit.
Can you both share a moment where you kind of realize like, hey, the sport that I am in is what I want to keep doing in college, is what I'm really good at? Was there like a moment where you had that like revelation?
I mean, I know a lot of people have like a certain moment where they're like, oh, this is the sport I want to play, but I kind of just grew up like with my family and like my older siblings, like just sports was a big part of like
your life.
Of my life and of my family. And I wouldn't say I have like a certain moment, but I just grew up and I like never turned back, and I knew volleyball was what I wanted to play and pursue in college.
Yeah. So. Did you have any older siblings that did sports in college?
Yeah. My older sister, she plays college volleyball right now.
Awesome.
And then I have a brother that played football.
So that's fun. You have people to like look up to and then have gone through it. So that's awesome.
For sure.
I'm kind of the same way. My dad played football in college, so he that was always kind of like a possibility for me, and just my size, I'm like almost 6 feet tall. Like that's
You're like, I gotta do something with it.
So either that or just be a really tall regular student. But no, I've just always had like it's never been a question as of like whether I could or couldn't do it. It's just I've just always kind of expected to do it, kind of.
Yeah, and you dedicate so much of your life to it that like there's a point where you kind of have to be like, okay, I've already given up so much of my time for this. I need to stick with this and kind of see it through. But as a female, it's always kind of different to like go through that weird phase. What do you guys want young Razorback fans to remember about you as they aspire to be you? Because obviously one day you guys were little, looking up to like your idol in college or maybe professionally, and obviously you took something away from that. So what do you want people to take away from you guys?
I would say, I guess growing up I wasn't always like the biggest player or like the biggest in my area, but I just didn't let that like stop me, and I still like followed my dreams of wanting to play in college. And I just want the younger Razorback fans to know that like just don't let that stop you and follow your dreams and do what you love. And
I love that.
Yeah, I really like what she said. basically just people are going to have their own opinions about you, and they're going to voice that and make that heard, and just know that nothing matters outside of your own little circle that you have of people who are close to you. And no matter if you get recognition at a young age or not, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day, and just keep pushing. And if you love it enough, you'll go where you're meant to be.
Yeah. And that's a really good transition to this next question. So Bri especially is the queen of Twitter and of social media, but you use it in a way that it's fun to see that you're a human. You're not just a softball player. And women's sports has become such, a hot topic right now, but social media comes along and it's not always the most positive. How do you guys think that you can use social media to kind of, bring a more positive light to female sports?
I like using it to, like you say, show that there's another side of what everyone sees.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's an easy way to get people to hear what you have to say and to get people's attention. And it's not always, like you said, like the most positive thing, but all publicity is good publicity at the end of the day for women's sports. So anything to draw attention to us and what we're doing, and it helps a lot at the end of the day. It draws a lot of attention.
Yeah, I would say recently there's been a lot of attention in women's sports, and I think it's growing a lot. And I think social media is obviously a big platform, especially for sports. And I think just drawing attention and sharing personal experiences and journeys of female athletes and what they've gone through and their background is important to put that out there.
Yeah, and I think it's so easy for the outside world to kind of put female athletes down easier than they do male athletes. Mm-hmm. So I love seeing someone like you, Bri, kind of respond to them and be like, no, I'm just a normal, take away male, female, I'm an athlete. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, I work as hard as the other ones do, and watch me do what I do and do it well. So kind of similar topic on that. Both of you come from a sport, again, female sports in general, but especially here at Arkansas that's growing. We're seeing sellouts at softball every weekend. Volleyball, really, the attendance this year was crazy, but it hasn't always been like that. So what advice would you have for a team or an athlete that's maybe not at Arkansas that is kind of discouraged by the lack of visibility or attendance at their sports?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't be discouraged too much about the visibility, because if it's the sport that you love and you have the passion to do it, I wouldn't really care too much about the viewers and what they're doing. But I think just working hard, and I think people are starting to realize how fun female sports are, and I think just wait and it will happen, and people will realize and start coming and
see.
And people come and people pay and buy tickets to be entertained. And so if you're putting on a show, if you're winning games, and if you're competing with the rest of them, people are going to show up, people are going to come, and it doesn't hurt to do your own a little bit of advertising and put it out there, hey, come to our games and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be discouraged if not many people are there, because it's the same game at the end of the day. And if they see you're winning, they'll come and support you.
Okay, pivoting to some kind of lighter, fun questions. Do either of you have any rituals? Are you superstitious? Do you have to do something the same the day of the game?
I'm not superstitious, really. Not at all.
The only, it's kind of weird, but whenever, because we have a warm-up shirt and a uniform shirt. So when we're changing into our uniform shirt, if my uniform falls off the hanger within that 5-minute span, then I'm cursed for the day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's I'm freaking out that whole time, trying to keep my shirt on the hanger.
Yeah, so that's definitely a new one. I like it.
No,
though.
It's so weird. Yeah, but it's
has it happened a lot?
Yes.
Yeah.
For the past 3 years, that's how it's been.
Yeah, so you gotta hold it on real tight, or make sure someone's holding on to it. Who was the first female athlete that you guys remember looking up to? It doesn't have to necessarily be your sport, but if it was in your sport, just kind of talk about her and why you looked up to her.
For me, I would definitely say my older sister. I guess going back to the question before, we grew up in sports, and she was 2 years older than me, so she was always just ahead, and she kind of just really set the standards, I guess,
Yeah.
or set the platform for me to just work hard. And she was really pushing me when I was younger, and yeah, she's awesome. So I definitely would say
it's cool to have someone, so
Mm-hmm.
close to you that you like could see her go through the process and kind of know what to expect. That's nice to mentally be able to expect it because you're like, oh, well, my sister went through this. Yeah.
Mine would be Amanda Scarborough. She was an All-American pitcher for Texas A&M.
Yeah.
I don't remember the years, but she was my first pitching coach. I'm not a pitcher anymore, but I used to be. And she was the first person who kind of like showed me that it was possible to be great. And I just remember I never was like the best at what I did, but she like helped me along the way and pushed me and showed me that I can be the best at what I do. And it was fun to just watch her and watch her like highlights and how great she was.
Last question, and I'm very excited for you guys to answer this question. How would you address any haters that you or your sport might have and advocate for greater respect for your sport?
Well, I definitely received a lot of hate from being a softball player or transferring within the same conference. Apparently that's a huge deal. People don't like that. But I mean, our whole lives, I'm sure you've had the same thing, but we've always had people just talking all the time because, you know, we're women in sports. And so I think getting to this point now, we're kind of used to people saying like, it's softball. The field's 225. Like, that doesn't matter. You'll like never be anything compared to a baseball player. So, nobody cares. Truly, nobody cares. And to the other kinds of haters that are hating on like me specifically as a person, most of the people just they don't know what they're talking about. And they have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. And there's so much strategy, physical and mental, and every kind of aspect that goes into it. And they just want perfect all the time, and that's just not going to happen, especially in a sport like softball, where if you do something good 3 out of 10 times, that's like elite. And so people are always going to have something to say. You can't ever please everyone. And at the end of the day, if people are talking about you and have opinions about you, then you're doing something right. Because they care enough to pay attention to what you're doing. And you have obviously made enough impact on their own life to where they feel the need to express the way they feel about you.
I mean, I think she said it well. I mean, you can't please everyone. You're not going to make anyone happy. There's always going to be haters, and I think just let the haters hate. And I mean, especially on social media, like, they're sitting behind a screen. They're just talking, and I think
with no profile picture.
And they don't even like realize like the amount of like work we put in and like how important it is to us. So I think just let the haters hate, honestly.
No, I love that. Well, thank you both. This is awesome. It's so nice to meet you.
Of course, thank you.
That is a wrap for today's episode. I want to extend a massive thank you to the phenomenal female athletes who joined us today. Your stories are the heart and soul of our podcast, and your greatness truly shines through with every word. I also want to express my gratitude to the Everett Auto Group for continuing to promote the See Her Greatness campaign. With locations in Benton, Bryant, and Rogers, they're not just in the business of selling cars, they're champions of celebrating female excellence in sports. To my listeners, I can't thank you enough for tuning in and being a part of this empowering journey. Remember, you can catch up on all of our episodes and stay connected with the latest from Everett's See Her Greatness campaign by following us on social media. Until next time, keep believing in your greatness, keep striving for your dreams, and keep celebrating the incredible achievement of women in sports. This is Sydney Lemmerhurt, signing off.